By the end of this video, you'll know how to set up OpenClaw, aka Clawdbot, aka MoltBot, on a private VPS with absolutely no code involved. And all of it can be done in under 5 minutes. After my OpenClaw Cloudflare setup video a couple days ago, some of you have been asking me for a simpler way to set it up via VPS like Hostinger. While setting up OpenClaw on MoltWorker is the most secure since it isolates agents in sandboxes and protects admin access, it has a learning curve and some customization limits. A VPS, basically, a dedicated computer you rent in a cloud, is straightforward to get running. And a quick recap for those who don't already know, why do we want to run OpenClaw on a VPS or external server like a Mac Mini, instead of our own personal computers? Well, it is because of security. If you install OpenClaw directly on your computer, if the AI gets prompt injected, basically tricked by malicious instructions by outside attackers, well, the attackers could access sensitive files on your machine and even tell it to carry out certain executions on your system. Running it on a separate server keeps your personal computer isolated from that risk. And as a bonus, I'll also cover how we can connect it to Kimi 2.5, which is a new AI model by Moonshot that's been getting attention for being really good at long, complex tasks. And of course, as always, I'm going to guide you every step of the way, explaining each step. If you find videos like these useful, please consider subscribing and hit that like button. Now let's jump right in. So the very first place you want to head to is hostinger.com/vps/docker/openclaw. You can get to this link by simply typing in OpenClaw VPS Hostinger, and you'll be led to this page where it is a dedicated page to deploy an OpenClaw instance of VPS on Hostinger. So here is a simple one-click to deploy, and of course you gotta put in your credit card details, etc. And on your card, typically by default, it's going to push for 24 months. But of course, if you're trying it out the first time, you probably want to give it a run for 1 month. And that's around $12 in my region. I don't know if it differs across regions. But yeah, I recommend just giving it a spin for a month first before committing to a whole 2 years, right? So just before you hit continue, you want to scroll down and choose the server location based on where you are at the moment, so closest to your location, and then I'm going to hit continue. And here you're led to a checkout page, so just fill in your billing details and basically check out. And once you're done your payment, you can wait for it to load up, and you'll be led to this simple page where you can actually configure your OpenClaw instance. Here you already have your gateway token generated, and what you want to hit is just to see this, and just copy the gateway token, and you want to copy it somewhere safe. Obviously, you don't want to expose it to public. As you can see, the following are basically fields for the API keys for the LLMs that you choose to run your OpenClaw with. So you can run it with Anthropic, OpenAI, Gemini, etc., XAI. So in this instance, I'm going to use an OpenAI API key, and where you want to get that is go over to platform.openai.com, and if you don't already have an account, sign up, log in, put in your billing details similarly, and then where you want to head to on your left-hand sidebar, go to API keys, and you want to create a new secret key. So here you would say, let's say OpenClaw demo, for example, and just create that API key. And here you want to copy your API key and go back to your hosting app or browser and paste in that OpenAI API key into the field, and you're good to go. So I'm going to hit deploy right now, and it's going to take a few minutes to set up the VPS. So we're going to check back in a few minutes. So it looks like the VPS has been spun up. And it's asking me a few survey questions here, so it doesn't matter. You can just choose anything that is appropriate. And this is for personal use. What do you plan to do with hosting, AI and machine learning? I'm gonna hit save. And yeah, it's still being deployed at the moment. So we'll check right back in when the project's done being deployed. Okay, so it looks like OpenClaw is live. So we're gonna go over and hit manage to just take a look at the OpenClaw project here. And we're gonna hit deploy. And there we go, it says it's running now. So we're gonna go and check into the port right here. And here you're gonna be asked for your gateway token. So remember the token that was generated at the start. That token is what you put in here. And just paste it and log in. And there you go, that's how easy it is to actually set up OpenClaw with VPS on Hostinger. And of course, there are a couple of things that you wanna set up in terms of connecting it with Telegram and stuff like that. But here you can start chatting with it on this panel here. And there you go, hey, just came online, 2 quick questions to get oriented, All right, that's pretty cool. So if you were to ask it, what LLM are you running on? So it should tell me that it's running on a OpenAI model, which is correct, right? So it says I'm running on a GPT 5.2 OpenAI model for this session. So that's great, we've set that all up. And so now how do we switch from GPT to Kimi 2.5? Now, as you've seen earlier in the initial configuration, there wasn't a field for Kimi 2.5, right? So it wasn't one of the AI models that was out of the box that you could put on there. So where you want to go is you want to go over down on this left-hand bar and go over to this gear icon here and click on config. And here you want to toggle over to raw, which is the JSON raw file. And what we're doing essentially is we're going to manually overwrite some of these things. And if you're not familiar with JSON, don't worry about it, because we're literally just going to add one chunk of JSON code in here, which I will put in the description down below for you to be able to just copy and paste in as well. But real quick, what the JSON here is essentially saying is stipulating what kind of agents it's running on. Like for example, as you can see the name agents here, and the default model or the primary model is ChatGPT 5.2, which is correct, which is what we've heard from OpenClaw as well. And then here are the model's description, and then here's the gateway token, and it says OpenClaw redacted because they just generally don't want to show any sensitive tokens over here on this panel. And what we need to do now is over on this part, just right above the agents here, we want to add a model section, which is basically just adding the Moonshot AI or Kimi 2.5 model as part of the models that can be used by OpenClaw. So the whole chunk's going to be in here, and what you need to do is simply replace this with your Moonshot or Kimi 2.5 API key. So where can you get the Kimi 2.5 API key? So where you want to go is to go over to build.nvidia.com/moonshot AI/Kimi-K2.5. Now I'm going to link this right down below so you don't have to actually type it in. But essentially, once you go to that page, you would actually see a UI interface where you can actually chat with it the same way you would chat with Claude or ChatGPT. But here, what we want to do is go to the top right-hand corner here and click on View Code. And this is essentially the code that you'll be interested in. And all you really want is the API key here. And where is the API key? Well, it's the long string right after the word bearer. So this might be immediately available to you. What you need to do is just sign up and create an NVIDIA account. It's completely free. You don't even need to put in your credit card details or anything like that. And what you need to do after that is to just hit generate API key, and you'll be able to see the long string of API keys and just copy that. So remember, it is the one after the bearer, and there's a space in between as well. So make sure you ignore that. And once you have that API key, you want to head back to your terminal here and just paste the API key into the API key section. And two more things you want to do is just go down to models and under XAI, add another model, which is Moonshot Kimi. Make sure the indentation is correct. And as you can see, I just messed up the indentation here. So you guys don't have to worry about getting into the weeds here. I will give you the whole chunk of the JSON, which you can just copy and paste into the whole terminal right here. And the only thing you need to do is really just paste in the API key, as well as change the primary section here from ChatGPT 5.2 to now, because we want it to be Kimi as the primary model that runs OpenClaw, so we're going to use Kimi here. And I'm sorry, there is one last thing you need to do here, which is to input your gateway token just to make sure that it can access the gateway, right? Remember, the gateway token is the token that you've saved earlier on, which is really the only token that was auto-generated by Hostinger, and you just want to take that token and paste it right in here. So just paste the token there, and then also remember to have this one pasted here as well, and you're good to go. We're going to hit save. And the moment you hit save, this is going to say OpenClaw redacted. So don't worry, this is just the expected behavior. And just hit update there. And we're going to hit reload. And it's going to say health offline for like a second or two. And if everything is set up correctly, it's going to say health okay. And now let's go back to our chat. And now I'm going to run a new session. Okay. And I'm going to say hi. All right. What LLM model are you running on right now? Okay, let's check that. Okay, session status. So as you can see, it says that the model is Moonshot/Kimi K2.5. So we are successfully running it on Kimi 2.5. But because GPT is the fallback model, so sometimes if it runs out of token and stuff like that, it may fall back to other models. And of course, it replies and says, right now I'm running on Moonshot Kimi 2.5. So that's it. That's an easy way to set up OpenClaw with VPS hosting. It's definitely much easier in terms of the number of steps that you got to do compared to the MoltWorker that I covered before. But as I mentioned, MoltWorker is still better in terms of security. But if you're just running something for personal use, not publicly available and accessible, then you might want to consider using VPS like Hostinger as a simple way to get up and running and just play around with it and experiment. And as always, I would caution connecting directly to your tools like Google Drive and stuff like that just at the start, because they will have access to every single sensitive information that you might have in your account. So experiment with it incrementally and get used to it, right? But yes, as always, if you find videos like these valuable, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.